did not allow, in 16 games, they didn't allow the team to gain 1,000 rush yards. They didn't allow 3,000 total pass yards. 4 shutouts, 8 games, 7 points or fewer. We got to be high. And as a matter of fact, Skip, our defense was better than the Bears statistically. Do you know that, Skip? Allowed fewer points, fewer yards, rush yards than the 85 Bears. We got to be higher than that. Recount. We want to recount. 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 I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court. If y'all don't recount this thing, I'm going to the Supreme Court like in 2000.
Okay. Let me go back to the start, to the 85 Bears.
Okay.
I covered a lot of the 85 Bears games. I think I know them very well. I worked in Chicago, so in hindsight, I really got to know them very well. I must admit, before I looked hard into this last night, I agreed with your premise that they were all defense. It was all-time great because nobody had ever seen anything like it. It was the equivalent of the wishbone offense in college football, especially at Oklahoma, where nobody had seen it and couldn't stop it. It took 4 or 5 years before people started to figure out how to mirror the wishbone and contain it. In this case, it's that what's called the Bear defense, coached by the late, great Buddy Ryan, and nobody had ever seen anything quite like the 46, how they attacked you. They came from everywhere. They mauled the quarterback. And it was a sight to behold because it was awe-striking in you as a fan and in the opposing quarterback's eyes. So I got that. And I'll get to your 2000 Ravens defense in a moment. But as I looked harder at the Bears offense, I thought it was mediocre at best. It was a little better than mediocre. They did have 4 Pro Bowlers that year. Jim McMahon, the quarterback, made the Pro Bowl, and I'm not sure how because he had 15 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. But whatever, he did make it. And I thought Walter was nearing the end of the line that year because in the playoffs, Walter faded out and was kind of a non-factor. But during the year, he had 1,551 yards. That's huge. That's great. He had a Walter Payton regular season, so I'm going to give you that. Correct. And they had 2 offensive linemen, Jim O'Covert and Hilgenberg, who made the Pro Bowl. So they could run the football like crazy. So it wasn't just all defense. But let me go first to your point about the Ravens. Just on eye test, I don't know why. I covered a bunch of I covered the game at Tennessee that year.
Tennessee.
Man. It was the most it was the most physical football game I've ever watched. And I was right there. I was in the press box. And to my eye test, thanks to Ray Lewis, you didn't have Ed Reed yet, but it felt as dominating as the Bears. But I do think the Bears might have had a slightly better offense than you guys did. And that's no disrespect to you, but to your quarterback. You know, it's Trent Dilfer, it's Tony Banks, whatever was going on. It was back and forth, and it ended up Trent Dilfer, obviously, to the Super Bowl. But I still think the Bears' offense, because of Walter, might have been slightly better than yours. So now I'm back to your premise that you like the 75 Steelers as your best team ever. To me, this is picking nits here. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. I'll take any of those Steelers teams from 75, 76, 77, or 78. I'll go 78. It's the same. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. But, Shannon, I've already told you that I covered the 2 Super Bowls, both of them. I was there for Super Bowl 10, Dallas-Pittsburgh, and then Super Bowl, and that's the 75, or Super Bowl 13, which was 78 Steelers against my Cowboys. Shannon, the 78 Steelers, they had 10 Pro Bowlers and 10 Hall of Famers. I told you the collection of talent on the field that day at the Orange Bowl in Miami, I'd never seen anything like it before or since. It's just Hall of Famers are everywhere. And the Steelers Hall of Famers weren't heavy on defense or heavy on offense. It was 5 Hall of Famers and 5 Hall of Famers offense, defense. What? That's impossibly great. that's firepower on both sides of the ball that you can't match up with it. And by the way, Dwight White was another pass rusher. No, you'll never see it. Dwight White made 2 Pro Bowls and didn't make the Pro Bowl that year. So that could have been an 11th one. So I'm with you. I'll take the Steelers dynastic team, whichever one you want was the greatest team.